All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the BI project. So in this video, we are going to look at the importance of data analysis and why data analysis using Power BI is the most important skill of this decade, right? So we've divided this whole video into various sections. The first section being the data-driven decision making, right? So we'll look at the importance of data for the businesses today and what do organizations need in order to have a competitive edge in their respective industries. Then we are going to understand the power of data analysis, right? And then look at how it helps unlock various insights, which in turn helps the businesses make better business decisions, right? Then we'll deep dive into the tasks of data analysts and where does Power BI essentially comes into picture in the world of data analysis. After that, we're going to look at Power BI on a high level. What are the basic building blocks of Power BI? And at last, I'm going to give you a tour of a Power BI dashboard as it is delivered to the business leadership and how it helps in uncovering various insights for the businesses and helps them make better business decisions, right? Moving on, data. So data, as you all know, in today's world is the most strategic business asset of any organization, right? So businesses of today, they collect and store massive amounts of data in various forms. They may be collecting data from social media. They may be collecting data from their own websites, from IoT devices. They may have a whole human workforce that is on the field collecting the data manually. And they're also collecting the data through various portals and applications. Some of these could be third-party portals, applications. Some of them could be their own portals and applications. So having said that, they are collecting and storing massive amounts of data, but still they continue to struggle to use this data in a meaningful and a productive way, which actually impacts their ability to act, right? There is a need to convert this entire data coming from disparate data sources into meaningful information and a business story, which the businesses can use to make decisions depending upon the story that is delivered through this data, right? The faster a business make a precise decision, the more competitive they will be and the better advantage they will have, right? So this whole premise of data analysis is to convert the raw data, unstructured, which may not have a lot of meaning at the outset, into meaningful information that is relevant for the businesses, the insights that are relevant for the challenges the businesses face, so that the business leaders can take better business decisions in order to stay ahead of the curve from their competitors and in their entire industry. So before the data can be used to tell a story, it must first be run through a process that makes it usable in the story, right? So it has to go through a series of phases in the process before the data gets converted into useful insights, which eventually can be used by the business to make business decisions, informed business decisions. So the first phase of that process is called data collection. Obviously, if you want to essentially process and convert the data into information, we first need to collect the data. So the businesses collect the data from the various websites, IoT devices. Manual collection, where you have the entire human workforce on the field collecting the data after perhaps surveying some people and entering the data in their tablets real time, or maybe taking real-time observations from construction sites, hospitals, etc. There may be many use cases, but manual collection is still a very prominent way to collect authentic data from the field. Then you have the portals and the applications. This is essentially, maybe the third-party portals or the applications which the businesses have sort of bought or partnered with, or it could be their in-house portals and applications where users are regularly performing activities and they're constantly collecting that data and storing it somewhere for further use, right? The second phase is the data management. So the data that you have collected is essentially stored somewhere, right? It's mostly in the form of the tables in a database like SQL Server. Here, the data is further cleaned up, transformed, and then made ready to be used for the final analysis. So after that, data modeling happens, where essentially you define the relationships between various tables where you have stored the data. You do various exploration and analysis on the data, like you might look for some trends, you might look for some anomalies, you might calculate a few KPIs which will tell you about the business performance. So depending upon what challenge the business faces or what business question you have, or you have to essentially find the answers of, you pull out the insights from the data based on the exploration and the analysis that you do. And finally, you have to communicate your insights to the audience, which could be the business leadership, in the form of interactive reports and the dashboards. All right, so diving deeper into data analysis, we'll now look at various categories of data analysis. So all in all, there are 4 different categories of data analysis. The first one being the descriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics basically helps us answer questions about what has happened, right? So based on, and it uses the historical data to find that out. So the descriptive analytics techniques summarize large data sets to describe the outcomes to the stakeholders, and this summarization may happen in the form of charts or visuals, or also in terms of the statistical measures like mean, median, mode, standard deviation, etc. The second category is the diagnostic analysis. So the diagnostic analysis techniques basically supplement more basic descriptive analytics. So they will take the findings from the descriptive analytics and dig deeper to find the cause. For example, you may have a finding, let's say a dip in the profit of the company, and you may want to further deep dive into the causes behind this dip, right? So that deep dive to find the root cause will basically be covered under the diagnostic analytics. The third one is the predictive analytics, which uses the historical data to identify the trends and determine if they are likely to recur, which means it is in some way predicting the future. It is using the historical data to look at the trends, and following the same trend, they are going to estimate what is going to happen in the future, right? So the predictive analytical tools provide valuable insight into what may happen in the future. The last part is the prescriptive analytics. So prescriptive analytics basically is more actionable kind of a thing, which will tell you what actions you should take to prepare yourself for the future, right? So it requires a bit of subject matter expertise also, because in order to take the business decisions, you must also be aware of all the aspects of the business. So combined with the predictive analytics and the subject matter expertise, we have prescriptive analytics, which will tell you what actions you should take in the future to prepare yourself. So in short, if I have to summarize all the 4, the descriptive analytics tells you what has happened, right? It answers what part of the data. Diagnostic analytics helps you find why something happened. Predictive analytics helps you what will happen, right? And the prescriptive analytics basically talks about the actions, right? So this is the 4 categories of data analysis. Next, we'll look at the tasks of the data analyst. So by now you all know that data analyst plays a very critical role in an organization in uncovering valuable insights and making sense of the information to keep the company balanced and operating efficiently. So as such, there are 4 key areas that a data analyst basically engages themselves into. And all of these tasks can actually be carried out using a BI tool called Microsoft Power BI, right? So Microsoft Power BI is a go-to tool for any data analyst, because the 4 major tasks that a data analyst has to perform preparing and modeling the data, visualizing the data, analyzing the data, and then managing the data can all be performed using Power BI, right? And I'll just deep dive into each of these tasks as well. So let's first look at prepare and model. So as a data analyst, you will probably spend most of your time split between preparing and modeling the tasks, right? Or modeling the data, as you can call it, because bad or incorrect data can have a major impact because it will result in invalid reports or incorrect insights, which will result in a loss of trust and can negatively affect the business decisions, right? Which may have a very incriminating impact because business decisions are directly related to the revenues. So there will be a loss in revenue if a wrong business decision or a negative business decision is taken, which will in turn lead to a negative impact. So it is very important that you have to make sure that your data is accurate and your calculations are accurate. So for that, the first part, which is preparing and modeling the data, where you clean up all the unnecessary data, where you transform it in a way that is essentially be used to create various calculations, and then also to relate various tables amongst themselves so that right information is referred to all the time is very much a need when you are analyzing the data. So preparing and modeling plays a crucial role. The second part is the visualize part. So this is where you actually bring your data to life, right? So the goal of visualize task is to ultimately solve the business problems. A well-designed report should tell a compelling and an impactful story about the data, right? Because that will enable the business decision makers to quickly gain the needed insights. So using the appropriate visualizations and interactions, an effective report guides the reader through the content quickly and efficiently, allowing the reader to follow a narrative into the data, right? So a lot of creativity actually goes into the visualize part, because there may be various ways to visualize the same data, but depending upon the story that you want to communicate, you will essentially choose the visualization and present it in a form that will engage all the business users and will be very much relevant to them. The second last part is the analyze part. So analyze task is the important step of understanding and interpreting the information that is displayed on the report. So whatever visuals that you have created, at the end of the day, you have to actually interpret it, right? So that information can be translated into simple business language. So in your role as a data analyst, you should actually understand the analytical capabilities of Power BI as well, because I'm talking about Power BI because that's what the tool that we are essentially using for all our data analysis in this course and also in the future. So you must know the analytical capabilities of Power BI and then use those to find the insights, identify the patterns and trends and predict the outcomes, and then also communicate those insights in such a way that everyone can understand. So Power BI has a lot of built-in tools that can help you analyze the data that you have already visualized in a very effective manner and help you uncover the consequent insights for the business. The last part is the manage part, the task that a data analyst has to essentially be responsible for. So there are many components in any tool. For example, in Power BI, there are reports, there are dashboards, there are workspaces, there are data sets, etc. So as a data analyst, you are responsible for the management of these Power BI assets, overseeing the sharing and the distribution of items such as reports and dashboards, and also ensuring the security of all your assets. So that's the manage part. And with this, we come to an end of the tasks of the data analyst. And then now we'll move on into looking at Power BI. So now that you have seen a Power BI report firsthand, let's dive deeper and get to know Power BI a bit more. right? So Microsoft Power BI is basically a collection of software services, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. So whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook or a collection of cloud-based and on-premises hybrid data warehouses, Power BI basically lets you easily connect to all of these disparate data sources, then visualize or discover what is important, and then share these visualizations in the form of the reports, which are very much interactive in nature, with anyone or everyone you want, right? So Power BI is basically available in three forms. The first form being Power BI desktop. So this is essentially a free application that you can install on your local computer, and it lets you connect, transform, and visualize any data from a lot of various data sources easily, and just share with your audience. The second form Power BI is available in is Power BI Service. So Service is basically a software as a service platform which brings together the dashboards, the workspaces, reports, and datasets for keeping a finger on the pulse of your business. So all your users basically consume all the reports that you create in Power BI desktop on Power BI Service, right? There are a lot of edit features also available on the reports that you essentially publish in Power BI Service. So you can edit the reports. And it's all cloud-based, which means this is nothing but sort of the online version of Power BI, if I have to call it that way, right? So you create the reports in Power BI Service, and then you publish it. I'll go back. You'll create the reports in Power BI Desktop, and then you publish it in Power BI Service. And if you want to share your reports with others, that also happens within Power BI Service or Power BI Online. The third part is the mobile apps. This is another way to consume the reports that you have created, but on your mobile devices. So for iPads or for any other tablets and your mobiles, you have a Power BI app in the respective Play Store or the App Store, which you can download, log in, and then consume all your reports and the insights right on your mobile phones, right? It also has a lot of other features like sending an alert if a performance indicator hits a particular threshold, etc. So all those notifications will pop up on your mobile application, which you can further deep dive into and take the further actions as may be the need. But then, this is again more of a consumption thing where you basically consume the Power BI reports. It doesn't have any edit capability, right? The next part is the flow of work in Power BI. Like, as you all know, there are three avenues where Power BI is available, or in three forms. But what is the flow of work? Like, where do I create the reports? Where do I send the reports if I want to share it with other people, my audience? And what if I want to show my reports on the mobile phones to various people, right? So I think the major development avenue is Power BI Desktop, right? This is the app where you essentially have all the tools and the features to create the reports, right? So this is where you create all your reports, right? After that, you publish this report to Power BI Service, right? And within Power BI Service, you basically control the access. For example, I may want to give the access to these reports only to 5 people in the organization. So this is where I will give the access of my report to various people. I'll share the report through Power BI Service itself, right? Which means all my users will consume the reports on Power BI Service, right? And then another avenue, once it gets into Power BI Service, it will automatically start appearing on the mobile devices, or on the mobile apps, right? So once you log in, if you have the required access, you will start seeing the reports in mobile apps automatically, which you can, just consume and, play around with. So that's how the flow of work is. From Power BI desktop, you create the report, you publish it into Power BI service where you give the required people the access, then share the link of the report where all the people will essentially consume your report. This is nothing but, the online version of Power BI. And then the mobile apps, once you publish it in Power BI service, it will automatically start appearing in the user's mobile apps, which they can essentially use to consume the insights and the data. So at last, we are going to look at the building blocks of Power BI. There are in total 5 building blocks, the first being the data set. Obviously, this is the most basic building block because if you don't have the data, what will you build the calculations or the data model or the visualizations on, right? So a data set is a collection of data from a combination of many different sources, which you can essentially filter and combine to provide a unique collection of data which is used to create visualizations, right? So there can be more than one data set coming from a lot of diverse data sources. For example, SQL Server, Excel, Snowflake, Salesforce, etc. And then you basically model these data sets to create the visualizations, right? The next building block is the visualization, which is sometimes also referred to as just simply visual. So it is nothing but a visual representation of data, like a chart, a color-coded map, or other interesting things which you can, create to represent your data visually. And Power BI has a whole lot of visualization types, and more are coming all the time. You also have this whole segment of custom visuals where third-party vendors or some data enthusiasts create their own visuals and upload it into Microsoft Store. You can some of them are free, some of them are paid. You can download them and essentially use it in your Power BI reports. So all these column charts, clustered column charts, line charts, combo charts which you see here are essentially the visuals, which is the building block of Power BI. The second one is the report. So when you combine, one or more visuals in one or more than one pages, then that whole entity constitute a report, right? For example, in this screenshot that you see, there are many tabs in the bottom. These tabs are nothing but essentially the pages, and each page has multiple visuals. So combined together, one or more visuals across either one or many pages, they combine together into a report, right? And this is essentially the report which you publish in Power BI service. So reports is another building block of Power BI. The next one is a dashboard. So dashboard is nothing but a collection of visuals from a single page that you can share with others, right? So what happens is dashboard is something which you create in Power BI service. It is not possible to create a dashboard in Power BI desktop. From Power BI service, you can pull up one or more than one visuals from one or more than one reports and put them all together on a single page. For example, you may have a sales report where you want just 2 visuals, and then you have another HR report where you want another 2 visuals, and then you have to put these 4 visuals and present it to your leadership to create some kind of a story that you want to present to them. So in this case, there are visuals coming from different reports, but all of them need to be put together on a same page, because that's how our story is supposed to be. So what you will do is you'll create a dashboard in Power BI service. You will open the individual reports and pin the visuals in the dashboard, and then share that dashboard with your audience. So a dashboard can contain the visuals from multiple unrelated reports all combined into a single page. The last building block is the tile. Tile is nothing but simply, a single visualization on any report or any dashboard, right? So in Power BI lingo, we call these visuals, so these rectangular box that holds an individual visual, as a tile. So this was all about Power BI and data analysis using Power BI. I hope this video was helpful for you all in getting to know how Power BI plays such an important role and is such a powerful tool to carry out data analysis. If you like the content and if you want to continue listening to our channel, please subscribe and do like this video. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks.